Today we are having a conversation on the recent defections among our politicians, especially regarding 2027 opposition politics. And also we'll be talking about the presidential pardon, which seems to have been paused. To join me in that important conversation, I have to my immediate right, Malam Baba Yusuf, a strategist, policy advisor, and Group CEO of Global Investment Trading Company. Malam Baba, welcome back to Inside Sources.
Thank you for having me yet again, Prof. Right. It's good to be here.
Good to see you. And to his right, my far right, we have Dr. David Okoro, who is a security strategist with the International Institute for Security and Governance Studies, and also the former Director General of the African Diaspora Initiative. I'd like to welcome back to Inside Sources, Dr. David Okoro.
Thank you. My pleasure to be here again.
All right, excellent. Let's start with Malam Baba, the defections that we have seen this past week and the ones before then.
Yes.
I was doing a quick research, and it turns out that, of course, between 1999 and 2015,
yes,
you had this kind of thing, people moving to the PDP.
Yes.
But it seems that the conversions, the defections are becoming even more, and the pace is getting faster. What's your immediate take? What's your opening take on these defections that we are seeing as we look ahead to 2027?
Well, it's interesting times. I would still like to, piggyback to the reference we made to the PDP era, a reflection of our political culture in Nigeria, which is, of course, we know it's not driven by ideology, but we'll talk about the methodology, basically stomach infrastructure, what you call bread and butter politics.
Even for these elites.
Absolutely, and I'll come to that, of course, the lack of connection with the masses itself. And therefore, generality or majority of politicians in Nigeria basically use the platforms, or I don't even call them political parties anymore. They are just platforms, to attain political office or to remain in political office, as the case may be. And that is why you see the déjà vu scenario of what happened during the PDP era, manifesting again now during the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, or the APC era, if you like. I'll bet, they are taking the game to the next level. When I hear the APC people talking about coercion, talking about all this, I just smile, because it's just what happened during that era that has been upscaled this time around. After all, most of the people that were in PDP that time are majorly in APC again. So it's a very, on the flip side, not such an interesting time for me, because it is a reflection of lack of seriousness by the political class to actually address the fundamental issues of governance in Nigeria. There is no commitment per se. Rather, what is it in it for us, quote and unquote, for the political class? During the discussion, we would like to discuss, maybe I will share my thoughts on why do we think this is happening, and how do we ensure this doesn't happen again?
Excellent, excellent. Hopefully, let's take it to Dr. David. So, as a security and governance expert, I'd like you to take a look at it. How does this affect governance, this kind of attitude of our politicians not holding on to any kind of ideological commitment that people will have a certain expectation of their programs? What was your take, Doctor?
What it just means is that from this set of politicians, you don't expect any focused and consistent national development. It means that everybody is in government for what they will get. And being in opposition is a dry land. People now who are in opposition don't have access to resources anymore. And the other side, it's booming. Everything seems to be available. If you go to the National Assembly, if you go to the states where resources are available, there's discrimination as to who gets what. Why the opposition get nothing, those who are in power get everything. So people don't want to remain where resources are not available, so they rather go to where this is available. And of course, second is people who are supposed to be facing criminal prosecution for certain offenses, particularly financial crimes or corruption. Once you are on this side of the divide, you are overlooked. Your offenses are overlooked. And that's why you see that many people who were facing investigation and prosecution previously, now we don't hear about those anymore. So if you want your sins to be forgiven, if you want the pressure from government not to be on you, then you need to move. And then also is the fact that if you're on the other side and you tend to pose any serious challenge to the government, they will look up, dust up whatever sin you have committed, and they will hang you for trial. So it is a mechanism for survival that you're seeing. People want to survive, and the defection is a very good mechanism for survival, and also for you to be able to have access to the resources of the state.
Interesting. Okay, so let's deepen it, and I come back to you, Madam Baba. In deepening the issues, as you can enlarge on some of the things in your first take, I'd like you to look at how the issue of 2027 plays a role in what we are seeing. And specifically, there is the view that the APC are trying to cement, the southern part of the country. Do you see that in what is happening?
Of course. The APC, under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is doing what everybody does towards election cycle, whether in Nigeria or any other place. You do your permutations and combinations. In mathematics, we have the arithmetic 1 + 1 is equal to 2, and you have the permutations and combinations. Sensing the political environment, and to do a scanning and say, how do I position myself? There's a lot of pushback by a lot of northerners, and of course other regions. You are not looking at us, we are not getting enough. And you sense and say, how do I position myself to consolidate and ensure that by 2027 elections, I don't have any surprises coming my way? And that is what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and APC are doing. I would rather use the word negotiation rather than coercion, to say, okay, I'm consolidating, taking the South on paper, in theory, and then I will now come and basically take the North Central, and whatever numbers the Northwest are flexing their model they are having, or the Northeast, we will share that with whoever comes out, in the opposing side. It's also a permutation and combination. But that being said, also we should also remember that the dynamics may change. If we go back to my déjà vu scenario, President Jonathan had that scenario, and I remember, how people were telling him. There was a time he was saying they have given enough appointments to North, they have given appointments to this and that, but we still see how it played out, how the Northern votes, basically voted him out of power.
In 2015.
In 2015. But of course, the dynamics are different now, because the dramatis personae in 2014, 2015 that formed the coalition that became APC, and the principal player himself, in this case, the President Jonathan and President Tinubu, are different human beings with different strategies, as the case may be. But then the key players, the governors and others also, are looking at also their own survival tactics. And that is what maybe the APC is using. But I would like to say it's not just about the APC's permutation. It's also about the permutations of the principal political gladiators in the geopolitical regions. Whether it's the two-term governors, some people say, what do they need? I say they need political state power. They need to remain relevant in the scheme of things. So even if a governor is finishing his second term, like Abdullahi Sule of Nasarawa State, he's looking at his future political career beyond second-term governor. And for those that are doing first term, they also want to be sure that they are able to get the second term, since it's not about ideology, and it's about using the power of incumbency and the center, which the APC is leveraging, whether subliminally or overtly, to be able to consolidate. What I'm not seeing, which is a bit depressing, is that strategy manifesting on the part of the remnants, I'll call them remnants of the oppositions, because that is what we have today. We are almost having a one-party state, and the ADCs or the ADAs or the Labour parties are still, malingering in the wilderness of the political forest. We are not seeing any decisive action taken to show me that they are actually having a counter maneuver. Some people say it is still upcoming, but you can see what is happening already. They are pulling back the elections, general elections, to come towards November, December 2026, which means the opposition have little headroom or breathing space to actually strategize, consolidate, and face an incumbent that is, really out and about it.
Interesting. Very, very interesting points. So Dr. Okoro, now, do you think that you have talked about how this is affecting our national development? So I want to take that a little further. So do you think that if you get the governors, that means you have gotten the people in the state. Because if all of these things that they are doing doesn't, accrue to good governance, why do our politicians spend so much energy, resources, and base their strategy on getting the governors? How do you read that, Doctor?
Well, I think the first thing you need to realize is that whoever have the governors have the resources, the money. You can't do election without money. And so if you have the governors in your pocket, then it means that the resources you need to prosecute elections in those states is available. And then maybe the other flip side of all this is, if you're a politician desirous of winning elections, desirous of continuing in the political environment, you can't use a vehicle that the engine is virtually knocked. I mean, if you're in PDP, as it were now, you're not sure that you will even be able to participate in the election come 2027 because of what PDP has become. Same for Labour. ADC is still not cohesive. ADC is like, it's a divided house already. This candidate is this way, this is saying this way, this is saying this way. So really, like I said, what is happening is not supportive of development. It's not even supportive of national security, but this is all politics that we are seeing. And we are playing politics that does not support the hope and aspirations of Nigeria. And of course, APC want to win election, and they are doing everything requires to win election. And by the way, it's also important for you to realize that the dynamics have changed. You have a Southern president in power. He's just done his first 4 years. It's agreed that there is some form of agreement that the North takes 8 years, the South takes 8 years. But now you have a Southern president that have just taken the first term, 2 years in office. And there is a push from the North to unseat him. Of course, the South will not allow this. They will do everything to support their own, because now it seems to be we versus them. That's why you see the Southern governors. Look, you recall that there was a meeting of Southern governors before even the 2023 elections in Asaba, where it was agreed to support a Southern candidate.
True.
And it is the Southern candidate that is there now.
And then the host of that meeting went to take a vice presidential candidate.
But he's back.
Slot.
He's now in APC
Right.
to support their own. So, but you know that this is fairness. I mean, somebody from the North have done 8 years. The right thing to do is to allow this man or somebody from the South. So that is fairness. So when you see people say, there are so many reasons why people will leave PDP and ADC and all that to go to APC, because of fairness, of equity, of such issues.
But where does that leave Peter Obi? Before I come back to Malam, where does that leave Peter Obi? Because Peter Obi is from the South.
Yeah, Peter Obi is I don't know what word to use, but Peter Obi is a homeless politician right now. Look,
homeless?
Yes.
You mean in terms of political party?
In terms of political party.
He says he's still in LP though. That's what he says.
No. But LP, people just said that Peter Obi will not win the election because they had offered him their platform as their presidential candidate, and he has refused. But you know the dynamics have changed. The Labour Party of 2023 is not the Labour Party of today. So Obi or anybody who intends to use Labour Party right now will be putting resources into a leaking basket, because Labour Party is really not existent, because who is the leader of the Labour Party?
Very sad, very sad. Let's take it to Malam. So I want you to take another dive at that issue of, does it mean, Dr. Okoro said that the governors control the resources, which is true. But does it mean that the governors control the electorate?
Thank you very much for that question, which is very key for us to understand why we are where we are and how can we get out of this, otherwise to remain the same. And the truth is, like Dr. Okoro said, the resources are in the hands of the governors at the subnational level, because the local government is practically non-existent. Yeah. Or let me say, in the hands of the governors, which means automatically over 50% of our monthly allocation, annual FAC goes to them, the governors. They are the ones holding both. True. And then on the other side, you have the president holding this side. So it presupposes that they control the power. And even in advanced democracies, that is the case. And that is why even in the United States of America, a president, sitting president or aspiring president, would like to rally those governors, because they hold the instrument of power, and there's a presupposition that they are the popular people on ground. Now, when it comes to electorate, in Nigeria, we know that not all the time that the voting patterns actually reflects the will and aspirations of the people. Not all the time. And even when it is the case, halfway into the administration of a president or governor, the people that voted for that person there's a disconnect. They have already ferreted away. And I've said in another forum, and I've written about this, there are two elements that Nigerians need to deal with. Two categories of people in Nigeria are suffering from two elements. On one hand, the masses are suffering from an element that is called the dependency. Sorry, let me talk about the elites and the political class. They are suffering from dependency syndrome. Now we are talking psychology. Dependency syndrome is a situation whereby you see these political leaders, and that's why they don't want to leave. They are always going to the ruling party. These guys can actually practically not exist out of office for more than 1 year without political office.
With all the resources
because it is as bad, because of that dependency syndrome, which is even post-colonial, not now. I'm not hinging it on only the Fourth Republic. Successive political leaders in Nigeria, hardly, majority of them cannot survive out of political office. Because almost everything they do, their children education, their health care, even as bad as their cable TV payments, is being handled by government. You see someone that was having an excellent career as a medical doctor or as an engineer, becomes a senator, or a governor, or a councillor, or local government chairman. The moment you get sucked into that, you get afflicted by that Nigerian dependency syndrome. And that is why you see a hitherto professional cannot even leave out of office again. Yeah. And that is why if you take a census of the former governors of Nigeria, from south or north, you see that 70% of them that are out of office cannot survive for more than 1 year out of political relevance without becoming poor and desolate and frustrated because they can't even pay their bills. Because there is no investment anywhere. So politics is now a career for them. Whether it is politicians, whether it is the elites that are holding offices as CEOs or MDs of MDAs, we are all in the same place. We are suffering from dependency syndrome. And that is why you see the desperation. That is why you see the hunger to continue stealing money and the all government in power syndrome. On the part of the masses, we suffer from Stockholm syndrome. Stockholm syndrome is what we suffer. We love our captors. Laulu. And that is why it will not change, because we love our captors. In northern Nigeria, during Buhari, for example, Buhari was from the north. May God bless his soul. And you see people, no matter how bad, the 100 and something multidimensionally poor and whatever you are saying, you dare not say anything negative about President Muhammad Buhari.
That's true.
They have not eaten for 3 days, but they will have you for dinner. They will crush you. Because of what? Stockholm syndrome. We are in love with our captors. And the captors know that the masses are suffering from Stockholm syndrome. The same thing when power was with President Jonathan. You dare not say anything negative, even when he's wrong. So the people now assume the position, the leaders assume that position of godlike position. They will never do wrong. You can never say negative. Even if you are from their region and you are trying to speak truth to power, you become a pariah. Because why? The masses are suffering from Stockholm syndrome.
So there's a disempowerment of the people. Now,
the people that are suffering from dependency syndrome recognize that they need the key to the till of government to continue satisfying that dependency syndrome element. And who better than to give them the key than the masses that are afflicted by Stockholm syndrome, that are captured, that love their captors. They say, take the key. So they keep giving them the crumbs and they keep lopping their people. And what are the drivers of the ailment called Stockholm syndrome? It is ethnicity, tribalism, religious sentiments, and all those dogmas that have polarized us. And these elements are what we are suffering from. Unless those are addressed by now as agreeing we are human beings and we cannot be captured by some captors under the guise of hunger or whatever, or the natural tendency of pushing people to the wall and then pushing back. And when we have the revolution that happened, French Revolution, Russian Revolution, and lately the Arab Spring will happen, which is now the natural, phenomenon that will break this element.
So what you're saying, Malam Baba, to that question essentially is that for the most part, once you get the governors, because of this syndrome, they get the people.
Yes, because the people, as it were now in northern Nigeria and everywhere, Doctor made a very important point. Power is in the South now. They've done 4 years. And people are saying, which is the same reason why Atiku failed in 2003 anyway. And people are saying these sentiments are now playing out for the Southern Bloc. And for the Northern Bloc, you have people that are saying, even as bad as it is, that look, leave him alone, let him just continue. It's not a matter of he's from South or he's from North, because the presidents know. So if a governor in a state has that state power, it doesn't matter what the people think, because at the end of the day, they will align. Okay,
madam, this is very depressing. Of course, I'm sure you know it's very depressing. Yes. And it speaks to the fact that we have to find a way, you know, as Nigerians who have an eye on the future of this country, to free our people from this mentality. But I want us to move along. But one last question on this issue, and I want you to do 1 minute each so that we can go to the second topic. Let's start with Dr. Okoro. Now, so these governors that are moving, you know, why are they not behaving like President Bola Ahmed Tinubu behaved when he was in their position in 2003? In a minute, in your own view.
Good question.
You mean in what way?
So Bola Ahmed Tinubu stayed, you know, in opposition when PDP even cleared the whole state in his region. And he sustained himself until he was able to get somebody in the north to align with to get the presidency in 2015. So why come none of these governors have shown that kind of stock, that kind of, if I might say, some courage?
No. Bola Tinubu is different. Bola Tinubu is Bola Tinubu. Bola Tinubu is he's a strategist that knows his onions. Bola Tinubu had prepared to be president for the last 20 years. His focus has been there. He's done everything to get there. And he helped the president to come to power with the hope that one day he will take power. And let me shock you. Bola Tinubu is not today struggling to win 2027 election. Bola Tinubu has passed that level. He's planning on how permanently to hold the lever of power in Nigeria, and he's achieving it. So it's not just 2027 election that he's a strategist, he's a master political strategist. Okay. And he structured his system beyond 2027.
All right. So, madam, please do this in 5 seconds so that we can go to the second topic quickly.
I like that question because it speaks to this reason that you mentioned. And when I said majority now, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu belongs to that few out of the majority that have been able to demonstrate that state power. I will read for you an excerpt of my Friday back page column on the Nation newspaper, which I talked about this. And I said, the PDP is living in denial because they never prepared for survival as an opposition political party. And when the time came for them to be an opposition party, like the APC, and other legacy political parties had been for 16 years while the PDP held sway, they just got lost. Now, the typical mindset of an average Nigerian politician is they are going to be in that position for, like PDP said, for 60 years, albeit they crawled only 16 years. So there was no preparation. So I agree with Dr. Okoro that the mindset of that leader to prepare with the long vision and prepare accordingly, unlike Atiku Abubakar with profound respect, that was globetrotting from one political party to another, was not prepared to be an opposition figure and pay your dues. In the United States of America, you have the Democratic Political Party and the Republicans. You have the Labour and the Conservatives in the UK. In Ghana, you have the NPP and the NDC. In Ghana today, the NDC, MPP of Jerry Rawlings, and Atta Mills of blessed memory had been in power for a cumulative period of about 23 years, since 1993, their fourth republic. And then you have John Kufuor and now John Mahama. By the time he finished his tenure, they would have done maybe around 23. Sorry, these ones have done around 24, 23. So what it says is that you can never be in power forever. Yeah. And therefore, any serious-minded politician should plan to be in opposition for a while. But in Nigeria, that dependency syndrome I told you is what is holding them to say they can never be in opposition, and therefore they will be subservient to a President Bola Ahmed Tinubu or any political leader that is ready to pay his dues.
So clearly, you know, it would seem, you know, and without trying to sound in any way that, you know, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu seems to be the owner of the game is the way Nigerian politics.
At least for now.
You know, for now, yeah. All right, but let's move on to the next topic as we begin to round up because of our time. This presidential pardon, we're going to start with Dr. David Okoro. Now, so the Attorney General came around a few days ago to say, oh, well, look, we haven't completed this process. It's going through the last stage of vetting. When it was announced, there was such an outrage, because of some of the, the murder case, a lot of drug barons, and even the people's, the family of Abba Macaulay said, don't lump us with these characters. And of course, I think it's a bit of relief that Attorney General said, okay, look, we are still looking at it. What's your take, Dr. Okoro?
Well, look, pardon or what we call prerogative of mercy is entrenched in our Constitution. Section 175(1-3), so section 1-3, talks about what pardon is all about, what state pardon is all about. And it gives the president the powers to pardon people that he feels meet the requirement to be pardoned. Right. But there's a process to this. Yes. The process requires that, first of all, those who are convicted and are serving terms, or those who have served their terms, write to the president to ask for pardon. They either write through the Attorney General's office, they write to the president directly through the State House, or they write to the Attorney General. When this is a significant proportion is received, the president then sets up a committee that is called Presidential Prerogative Committee on Mercy. That committee will review the submissions and look at certain criteria, maybe age of the people, how long they have served, how well they have behaved, because even within that same context, the head of the prisons can write and say, this guy has behaved well, we believe that he can be released. And then there are some other cases where there were miscarriages of justice. Now, so when this committee collects this, they go through it. They get background checks, they look at the process that led to these individuals being recommended for pardon, and all that. They get security report that gives them, that help them to make a decision. They take their report back to the president to say, this is our recommendation. The president then takes it to the National Council of State. The council looks at it on case-by-case basis, looking at the merit why anybody should be granted this special privilege. Then, when they have made their recommendation, they pass it on to the president, who decides whether to agree with the work of the committee or not. So the final decision rests with the president. Now, if the president feels that these people meet the criteria and is satisfied, he issues a warrant that then goes to the Attorney General and the controller of the prisons. Now, it is those people then that now follow the process for the release. But what has happened is something went wrong, and because when the president exercises this kind of delicate powers, there are international implications. Yeah, very much serious international implications. Yeah. There's implication for the law enforcement. People that investigated these cases at the risk of their lives.
Yeah. Especially drug-related, which is an international crime.
Exactly. The judges and everybody. It affects them. And the citizen loses confidence in the judicial system, in the criminal justice system. So when this was thrown at the people and people saw this, and the president knew that, look, there was merit. The voice went very high. Yeah. Right. And they now decided to take it back, because at the point they were really, it was when the president was supposed to give the warrants and all that. Yeah. But because of the wide complaint of the people, they decided to take it back and then look at it again case by case, because yes, the president had the power to give this kind of pardon, but it has to be done with a lot of discretion. It has to be done with a lot of care. It has to be done with a lot of concern that it doesn't turn out to become what it was going to become, because both local and international, the question was, you don't grant pardon to drug barons. You can grant pardon to small users, who have served time, who have met certain requirements, but not to
Not with Baron.
No, not to Baron, who indeed, before they arrested in Nigeria, some of those information came from the international intelligence community.
Yeah,
and then when you then do this, you are throwing dust in their face to say Nigeria is a country that is unreliable, that the criminal justice system is flawed and mixed with political considerations. Because what must have happened is that in this matter, there were political consideration or that type of consideration.
Thank you so much. Madam Baba, we have 1 minute. Last word.
To be honest, I was depressed when I saw the list. And a lot of gains that have been achieved by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, especially with his international trips and engagements, as far as I'm concerned, have been negatively impacted. Perception and impression in foreign policy is very key.
Absolutely.
And it has a direct impact or concomitant effect on your economic, internal economic and international economic, growth and development strategies and policies. The message is a very, very negative message. I am happy that now the government has backtracked to do damage control. I just wished that a man that I love and respect so much in the person of the learned Silk Lateef Fagbemi should have been more circumspect in advising Mr. President with regards to, but I understand totally, there's a lot of overarching political pressure.
Right.
But no political pressure should make Mr. President, with profound respect, to have had this list of almost 70 out of over 170 of the pardon to be drug barons. And then you have fraudsters, where we have a negative image with regards to all these 419 and scams and others. So now the minority, the very small minority of those that I can say deserve the pardon, have been negatively impacted by this bandwagon effect of the serious majority of those people that have no business being on that list. And I'll use this to learn to say, I agree with the family of late, Haban Macaulay, that he shouldn't even have been in that list, would have used other methodologies and then Nigerians, especially the youth of Nigeria, and this goes to our leaders, including the members of the National Assembly. Council. No, the council
the Council of State.
The Council of State.
Former presidents and former chief
would have even been more circumspect with profound respect to Mr. President. These are the implications. But of course, I know that some of them are at the twilight of their life. They just don't want to rock the boat. Bottom line is this. So far, and we are people that have contacts all around the world.
Yeah.
The feedbacks we are getting are very negative with regards to this. And I hope, Mr. President, as he has taken this step, Lateef Fagbemi, SA, like I say, I have a lot of respect for him, will go through this again and do it in a way and manner that there will be damage control. The mindset of the NDLEA, the DSS, the Nigerian police and all this, the mindset is very depressing, even though they will not come and tell you. How do you want somebody to risk his life to go and arrest a drug baron? Yeah. And we know how this works. Most of these barons are still operational, even when they are incarcerated.
True. Incidentally, both of you are strategists. Thank you so much for this session, Dr. David Okoro and Malam Baba Yusuf.
Thank you very much for having us.
And thank you for your voice.
Thank you.
Right. And thank you for coming to Inside Sources.
Thank you.
Thank you.